On this video, I have exciting news. Here in just a little over a couple of weeks, I'm going to be dropping the 2025 Reseller Spreadsheet. And with that come several new key features that I think you're going to want to know about. And let me add in real quick, if you stumbled into this video and you're curious about this 2025 Reseller Spreadsheet, you can find it linked in the description below. So in this video, down below, click the link and it'll take you right to the site where you can purchase this spreadsheet and get it for yourself to start tracking your own business numbers and to help you see what you're doing well and what areas you can improve in. So without further ado, let me introduce what those changes are now. The first key change will be the addition of the SKU column on the inventory tab that will also paste over into the sales tab when you make a sale. Many of you have been asking for not just a bin column, but a place where you can put your own specific SKU. And here it is. You've got that for you right there in the inventory tab. That's change number one. Staying on the sales tab, you'll notice a sales tax column that I have highlighted right over here. Now, for those of you who sell on online platforms like eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, you won't use this column. This is for those people, and there are a few of you out there who have requested a sales tax column. Maybe you have a local flea market or a booth or something where you actually do collect the sales tax and you would like to put that into your sheet. You now have this standard on all three sheets, regardless of whether you get the basic, premium, or creator. You'll have this sales tax collected column right at the end of your fees. And any of those that you put in there will be tracked on the month tab right here in this sales tax collected column that will help you understand how much sales tax you've collected for each month. Now, staying on the month tab, there are several changes on this tab that I'm excited to introduce, starting with this column right here. If you remember last year's sheet, this was a manual entry on the units listed section. So you had to go in every time you listed an item and increase this number manually. Now this is not the case. This now automatically calculates based on the data that you're putting in the inventory tab. So when you list an item there, it will automatically increase that number by every unit that you list, giving you one less step that you have to do in the sheet in order to track these details. Next, I've also added a profit per day column. Now you might remember this profit per unit, and I figured maybe you would like to know also how much profit are you making per day. So this column has been added into all three sheets. You'll have that as well. Next, when we look at the sales per day columns, the units sold per day, and now the profit per day columns, if you remember last year's spreadsheet, these numbers were calculating dividing by the total number of days in the month. Meaning if it was the second day of the month and we were dividing by 30 days, that number was going to be really low and it only built up until you got closer to the end of the month. Your numbers really weren't accurate 100% until the month finished, meaning you couldn't really check to see how you were tracking until you finished the month. Now these three columns are going to automatically track based on the day of the month that you're in. So if you're only 3 days into the month, your numbers will accurately reflect 3 days of data instead of dividing by the whole month. So these three columns will now display accurate results no matter what day it is. This next change is more for those people who have the premium and the creator spreadsheets. By now, you know that you've had 50 stores and 50 categories that you can track on your spreadsheet. And many of you are asking for the ability to track your brands as well. With this sheet, you have the ability to track brands, but not only that, you have 75 of each of those that you can track. 75 stores, 75 categories, and now 75 brands. There are a few of you out there that were mentioning that you had already maxed out the 50 and you were requesting more. And that wasn't possible to do on last year's sheet. But with this year's, you now have 25 more across all three of those categories. And not just that, but also a newly designed store, category, and brand tab. You'll remember that last year's spreadsheet had a separate store tab, a separate category tab, and now with the addition of the brands data, I didn't want to add in another tab to track across the bottom. So I figured why not merge all three of these into one and create a store, category, and brands tab that will track all of that data. So from this one tab, store, category, and brand, you can quickly bounce back and forth between stores, categories, and brands to see the relevant data to you that you are wanting, to see what stores are performing the best, what categories are performing the best, and now what brands are doing better than the others. And you have 75 of each of those to track. Another new addition on the sales tab is the ability to sort your sales tab based on the column that you choose. Last year's sheet wasn't able to do this without tripping up the formulas. This year, I've given you the ability to sort so that when you do, you don't get those errors and your sheet stays intact. So for example, from the sales tab, if you want to sort alphabetically based on the title that you've put in, you can quickly do that and not get any errors along the way. Or if for some reason you've listed items out of the order of sold date and you want to get it back in track, you can do that as well. And the last feature that I wanted to highlight today in this video is the FAQ tab. Regardless of whether you're using Basic, Premium, or Creator, you now have access to a lot more videos than you had on last year's sheet. So whether you have questions that you need answered or just a little bit more explanation on certain features of the sheet, you can scroll over and find about twice the amount of videos as you had previously on last year's sheet. And they're all linked here for you to quickly access right from your sheet. Okay, that's all I have for you today. These reseller spreadsheets will launch on November 1st. All 3 will be available for my store, and you'll be able to get yours then. Thanks so much. Have a great one.